How is that for dramatic?
I don't know if we're starting 2001: A Space Odyssey or an Elvis concert, but I'm here.
You're supposed to be opening with the monologue.
Go for it.
Nope. What, me?
Yeah. Folks, it is Mutants and Masterminds Monday, and it's a special one. Sup? Look at all these people in here talking. You know, it is a very special show. Did you want me to riff on that?
Yes.
I'm happy to do so because these are the travels of the space vessel Mumamo. Their 1-hour mission to check out weird story ideas and to sneak into troubling plot twists. Oh, to sneak them in, not to sneak into them. Or either way really works. And dangerous new space encounters to go with reasonable speed and aggression, knowing that we're likely not the first people to be hanging out in this particular area. It's Mumamo. It's Mamumu. I keep saying this wrong. It's Mutants Masterminds Monday, and I want to lower shields and say, hello, Crystal. Hello, Alex. How are you two?
We're good, but we're terrible nerds because I don't think either of us owns a Star Trek uniform.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I have one, but it's not appropriate for camera. It is exclusively for the wife.
You know, I have one, and I think at one time it was appropriate, but it'd be a little snug now. Just a little snug.
I have an X-Wing pilot helmet.
Oh, okay. You know, hey.
Have headphones?
Does not have headphones.
This is kind of like the future, right? Here's a question for, this is so great. Dominic says, you have no idea how hyped this one makes me. Having done countless hours of Star Trek adventures, I love myself some sci-fi goodness in RPGs. Nice. We love that you love that.
Yes.
A question that I had before let's say we're looking at the cast of any really, a Star Trek. Who would you be? It could be an amalgam. It could be a whole new thing if you'd like.
Oh, God. Probably Kira from DS9.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's spot on. I like that. What about you, Alex?
If we're talking about role in the Mutants and Masterminds team, I'm just Wesley.
I mean, Leslie's great.
At least our Geordie.
Oh, good. I'll take Geordie. That's fine.
Yeah, I was thinking like a Geordie / O'Brien.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd be like
O'Brien.
Like
Garrick.
Neelix meets Hugh meets, what's a child like species?
No, I'm going to go with you are definitely a humble tailor who has almost certainly had somebody killed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sound of that. I do indeed. Okay, well, so I like this. Kira is always the correct answer. A period. Yeah, absolutely. I like this. Vanessa says, I saw Crystal Frasier live and I clicked the link. Always a safe bet, Vanessa. Always a safe bet. Okay, well, why don't we let's dive into it. Let's talk about what the heck are we even talking about today? What is this all about?
The idea is just another genre mashup where you use mutants and masterminds to sort of emulate space exploration, like your favorite trekking-oriented space shows.
Or your Star War.
But yeah, your Galaxy's Quest.
Yes.
Your Babylons. I want to say 4 through 6.
Your Cosmic Testicles.
Yeah, yes. Did you say Cosmic Testicles?
Yeah, Spaceballs.
Oh.
Yes. See, we stepped right in it, and I love every moment of it.
But yeah, the idea is, more in line with superheroes, something like, I only remember our name for them, Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have superpowers, you're trekking along through space, you're exploring things and having strange sci-fi / superhero adventures and talking about how you can use the Cosmic Handbook to run adventures that are more focused around, like, you're on a ship and you're exploring and you're getting out and seeing the galaxy.
Love it. Battle Deck Treklactica. That's a no one. That's a no one, Casey Stevens.
He's got a gift for the words, that man.
Truly. I love this too, and much like Dominic, I'm a huge fan of the genre and that exploration and all that kind of good stuff. And and we've also been cooking some space stuff behind the scenes that we worked with the Patreon on. So it's just kind of like a nice time to do this.
Definitely.
We have been cooking up stuff behind the scenes,
Haven't we? Haven't we been working on a little?
There's a book coming out soon.
Okay, but that's more about having a city in space. This is more where your big exploration ship is your city. That's
well, there you go.
probably
Sure.
a good place to start.
We love
So yeah, the basis for a lot of good superhero adventures is, your home, the people you interact with who aren't necessarily superheroes, things like that. So you go in thinking about what your spaceship is instead of what your city is and what purpose it serves. I don't know if anybody has seen Dogs in Space yet, but it's this phenomenal animated series about dogs who are uplifted by Earth scientists and sent out as part of an exploration mission to find a new Earth. But the idea is each team has a smaller runabout style ship, and then they all come back to a big mothership called the Embark. That is sort of a city in space that is slower than the scout ships, but able to survive independently.
I love that it's called Embark.
I do too. I love that. What is that on? What is that show on?
Oh, it's on Netflix. It's
Nice.
a Netflix original. The last episode will make you cry.
Oh no.
But yeah, the idea is think about your spaceship as your superhero city. It is full of the people that make up the complications in your life. It is the thing you must protect. It is the thing that will constantly be in danger from whatever strange phenomena you encounter. So it really helps to sort of flesh out like what areas of the ship does my character really consider home, what people do they interact with, who's my Guinan, who's my nemesis, who's my, who do I have to take care of on this ship, who will I be very sad if they are killed off by the Borg.
Yeah, I really like that idea too, because the ship acting as city means that the city is genuinely in a lot more danger when the city is in danger. Like if you punch a hole in the city, we're all going to go into space and be really sad.
Oh yeah, like Power Rangers in space.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, I love too that everybody really does have to experience the same thing because you just are all in that ship together. Yeah, that's fun.
And yeah, you've got to kind of figure out what scale your exploration is going to be at. Again, if you're pushing this more as like a Star Trek style, we're scouting out strange new worlds and new civilizations, then you've got to have a city that can a ship that can survive out in space for months at a time at minimum, maybe years at a time. Like the original Star Trek was a 5-year mission, so no interacting or possibly even resupplying for 5 years. Voyager was going to be a 75-year journey home. They shaved a little time off at the end, but they still had to make do out in the galaxy for 7 years without any Starfleet support.
Right, yeah. And so in the context of putting together sort of this space exploration adventure, what are would you start as a GM putting some limitations on the crew as they kind of put their stuff together? And
possibly that's kind of a session 0 discussion, because it depends on, if you're going to be doing something more like Star Wars, then you're probably, going to be running familiar trade routes in like the equivalent of a transport ship or a tanker or something like that. You're not going to be, off on your own for months at a time discovering brand new things. You're going to have sort of action adventure style D&D adventures almost in, locations that might have been forgotten, but people have been here, and civilization or friends are and enemies are just a couple of days to a couple of weeks away.
It's like a super RV road trip through the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. But if you're
Okay,
doing
that's
something like Star Trek, then
I love that. Claude has an idea. Sounds familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's stranded on a seemingly deserted planet during a journey that started as a 3-hour tour. Huh.
he's of course referencing the classic Gilligan's Planet.
That's right. That's right. I'm not a super fan of that because I know that I'd be the Gilligan.
But in terms of like limitations you'd want to put on characters, I think the big limitation would just be, put any real serious levels of space flight as something only your core ship can have.
Mm-hmm.
But even that isn't necessarily like a hard and fast rule. How fast you want your players to be able to go is probably going to be an issue because, if you want space exploration to be like a big theme, then you don't want them to be able to zip off to other galaxies in a heartbeat. So you'd probably limit it to space travel, level 2 for tooling around the galaxy and getting to other star systems.
Yeah, I'd be looking at immunity as well as something. If you want exploring in dangerous, hostile environments to be something that's threatening, you want to make sure the characters can be subjected to that kind of environment, if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, but never underestimate the value of your NPCs not being bulletproof.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Your heroes might be able to survive the city, or if your ship vents atmosphere, but all of their friends and assistants and fans won't necessarily.
It's weird. Everybody wore red today.
It's also a good excuse for why the heroes have to tackle every single mission. Because, if there's only 7 members of the crew who can survive outside in the rigors of space, well, they're the ones who have to go outside and do everything in space.
Mm-hmm. I love the idea of like the ship having a sponsored superhero team that's there as part of the, maybe not necessarily part of the command structure of whatever organization sending the ship out, but there is a volunteer force, there's the one problem-solving team that they have access to.
Yeah, that partner agency or something. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I actually really like that idea. You're the designated away team who has to, get launched face first into every hostile situation.
So you're the ones who can take it.
In that situation, you almost wouldn't want to give the ship itself weapons. Your crew are the weapons.
Yeah,
Could
be an intergalactic neutrality thing that the humans are tiptoeing around with superheroes. Well, there's no weapons on the ship.
Well, there's no weapons installed in the ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant. Vanessa's like, the cleanup crew. I like that.
But yeah, I think the big thing that'll really define like space exploration is you focus a lot more on mystery and investigation. Because the classic trope for space exploration episodes is we get to a new planet and everybody here wears the same hat and something's going wrong with the hats, and we need to be the X factor that comes in and shakes up the status quo and figures out what's going on.
There's some great comments here. Claude was mentioning probably slap a super team template package for the characters that give them a suit and the universal translator dealios, the technical term. And then some recommendations. We've got the girl power webcomic. The main character realized that flying at Mach 4 doesn't mean much when it comes to planetary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look how fast I'm going.
The moon is very far away, even at Mach 4.
Right, we got some Green Lantern has come up a couple times as a great sort of idea, that animated series for running a comic book space series. That's fun.
Oh yeah, it was a great sort of trek across the galaxy from the unknown reaches back to what you know. So sort of a miniature Voyager, and along the way you stumble into the meta plot.
I like it. Owen suggests a hero yeeting cannon.
Also, Claude, you could skip on the universal translators and just give them a plucky protocol droid that follows them around that everybody loves.
I mean, your heroes might be into that.
That's
I mean,
true.
it's another thing to talk about in your session 0 for a game like this. I mean, for running a cosmic game, especially something focused on space travel, it's a good idea to go in and ask your players, like, what are you imagining for this? What do you want? Because they're very different campaigns based on, whether the ship is just there to shuttle you from adventure to adventure versus the ship is our home. This is where we live.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, Apu brings up that generation ships are very interesting ideas, that the ship is the city and long stories to tell, and that's very interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even on something like the Enterprise, which we've sort of statted up here in the Cosmic Handbook, which I don't know if I agree that the Enterprise should have like damage rank 15 phaser cannons, but the ship exists for your campaign if you'd like to use it.
Might be damage 15 related to human scale.
Well, sure, but then, your ship has a much higher power level than any of your crew. At that point, I'd actually look at the Super Team Handbook and the Magnaforce rules specifically for escalating challenges and different power levels.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a GM, think about, well, what are my PL8 or PL10 hero level challenges versus what are my PL15 ship level challenges?
Interesting. We're talking about challenges. I was looking at Gene's comment, and it was kind of inspiring a little bit, but, talking about villains and sort of the people that we would come up against in this sort of encounter, who would populate this in your mind? Just some thoughts on who you might pick if you had to pick, for tomorrow. We're doing this.
I mean, for something like that, I mean, again, if we're running this more like a Star Trek adventure or like the first season of the Green Lantern animated series, then, I mean, there's room to work in StarCon and the Imperium as your long-running antagonists. I think there's probably space to use the Cosmic Mind as a recurring antagonist, because she's an intangible energy force with psychic powers. She's kind of a classic Star Trek staple of the godlike energy being that you have to deal with by outsmarting them or, otherwise
like
finding an unorthodox weakness. But yeah, you'd probably want to start pulling things from the Cosmic Handbook and use, alien soldiers and alien walkers and alien brutes as kind of your baseline for the opponents your heroes will face, and then pull in Captain Kraken, of course, because he doesn't know how he got out here, but he knows he has to pirate.
He's proselytizing.
And his robot pals.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're going to do like a deep space exploration thing, you're going to need some kind of recurring antagonists that your heroes come up against. Your version of the Klingon Empire or I keep wanting to say the Okampa from Voyager, but that's not right. The Okampa were the little aliens that only lived 7 years.
Oh, you're thinking of the Cardassian... Is it the Cardassian?
Well, the Cardassians from Deep Space Nine.
Like Kim Kardashian and her sisters. What about like the Borg?
Oh yeah, the Borg. But yeah, recurring alien powers that are competing with you for resources or exploring the same areas. Oh, the Kazon. Thank you, Apuk.
There we go. Thanks, Apuk.
The Yuzon Vong? No, that's different.
No. Nobody wants to hear about the Yuzon Vong. But yeah, it's important to kind of figure out who your recurring antagonist is going to be. But then you also want, Monster of the Week for, new planets you visit. I think Star Trek Discovery, or not Discovery. What's the one the animated series they just did on Nickelodeon? It was a ton of fun.
I might have missed that.
Oh, they had a bunch of fun, weird worlds. Like they had one where they had to figure out how to deal with a black hole, and they had to do no, not Lower Decks. Everybody's suggesting Lower Decks. Prodigy, thank you.
Thank
Lower
you.
Decks
Yeah,
is not on
Prodigy.
Nickelodeon.
Boy, our chat is just going crazy. This is one of those very evocative,
Mm-hmm.
very inspiring. Yes, Prodigy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Prodigy is a great model for this, where you've got the recurring villain in. Oh, I am blanking on everything today. You ask me when the camera isn't on me to remember obscure character names, and I can pull them out of the hat. But
We've been going at warp speed all day. I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I recommend watching the first season of Prodigy or the first season of Dogs in Space and just ripping those off pretty much piecemeal for your campaigns.
And that's the show, friends. Thank you for joining us. Owen says if you mix Lower Decks and Prodigy, you get nice.
Owen, I thought I told you to sit in the corner.
You can do this from anywhere. Let's see, Sean says one of the other fun bits with the generation ship is that even if the heroes are invulnerable, there's often not much they can do when life support starts failing. There was a conversation earlier in the chat that's just going bonkers, but they were talking about how maybe that generation ship has to go so fast, or you can't really stop because of the momentum. So they need those heroes to help be their away team. And I thought it was really a clever idea. I am in the corner.
That's Casey in the corner.
It's a good day.
Yeah. I do want to touch on what Crystal just said, though. I think that is really interesting. To every week you can have something new that isn't necessarily a villain cropping up, but is like an environmental hazard or a diplomatic gaffe, or there's an inspection coming to check on the ship after it's been gone for 3 years, or anything like that.
Yeah, the example I was going to pull up from Prodigy are they land on a planet and the whole planet is alive. Spoilers. And the planet doesn't want them to leave because it gets lonely. So it basically like grows vines over their ships and keeps showing them illusions of the things that they want. So they won't want to leave. There's another episode where they get caught in the gravity of a black hole or a red dwarf. Something that's almost impossible to escape until they, sit down and crunch the math and work through a challenge sequence and work through their emotional issues at the same time.
Right, only to discover they're in the holodeck.
No, but there's a really good episode with the holodeck where they try to tackle the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah.
And get really obsessed because, they just think if I just do one thing different, maybe I can get through it. And yeah.
Yeah, holodeck episodes would be my favorite episodes to run, I think, in a space campaign.
Holodeck episodes do mean you can bring in just about any villain you want from, your old campaigns and just say, oh, it was somebody from Earth's pop culture hundreds of years ago.
It's Madonna, run!
Yeah, Madonna is a super genius taking over your ship.
I love it. That is so great. This is one of my favorite things is the that omnipotent faker as sort of a trope. David Bodie was talking about that sort of like, they return to a planet acting as their returning god, and that, I mean, like always an opportunity to run into that trickster, that sort of prankster, or that just straight up snake oil salesperson, I love that.
Oh, or you could show up, 3 weeks after somebody shows up on a planet to pull that stunt, and they're still, hanging around enjoying the fruits of their con.
Oh, that's great.
You would insert yourself in this situation and risk, a war and, I don't know, possibly have to fight the Klingon battleship when the Klingons have just shown up and declared themselves the long-lost gods of this civilization to exploit its resources.
Or the real god shows up and you have to get the con artist out of the situation.
Right, because they can't expire, or there's something about them that you need to, they need to get back to their own planet or something. That's really fun. I also think I'm reminded of sort of that Wizard of Oz sort of you're there and everybody believes that's the god and you do too, but you're like, wait, some of this isn't adding up. Weird clues that the god may not be as godlike as you thought.
Yeah, you just throw in challenges that are challenging enough that you need superpowers to deal with them, not just, an impassioned speech.
Mhm.
Or sometimes just have challenges that you can deal with an impassioned speech. That's okay too. And then
I love
sometimes
it.
you need to use your superpowers to push the ship out of a ditch.
I'm writing
Right, well,
down Guardians of the Galaxy Road to El Dorado mashup as a scenario.
Well, here's an interesting scenario challenge for you two. How would you make this sort of Groundhog's Day kind of with some terror in there, but that's where the ship is caught in a time loop, keeps exploding, and how would you gamify it to where almost like something resets, or how would you do that?
A game like that, as an adventure, something like that isn't really fun because the plot element of it is you have to keep failing until you find the one route through all the events where things work out fine. And as a player, having to figure out your GM's moon logic is one of the more annoying things that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I don't think I would touch that idea. I think I'd be worried my players would rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although-
So was there a way that you would sort of redeem that idea or make it sort of
There's an episode of The Next Generation where Picard comes back from one of those time loops, and there's two Picards on the ship for a while. But the Picard that came back from the future is traumatized and kind of a coward now, and basically Picard's worst self. So having like the player characters' future selves catapulted back and be on the ship with them at the same time would be a great twist on like the evil clone superhero trope.
I like that. Dominic says I'd do a skill challenge with impossible. Okay, and then on each loop you lower the DC. Okay, all right. I mean,
Yeah,
interesting.
I still think the players wouldn't like that very much.
Yeah. I mean, if you take away
know
the sting of death, then they're just rolling dice until they get it right.
Right. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Let's see. We've
You've
got.
done it narrative heavy, but I don't. Maybe it's going to be very dependent on your group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would communicate with them first. I would definitely set the expectation.
Yeah, have an eject option where if it's just not working out, then you throw out like some kind of X factor or weird explanation that turns the trope on its head. Like it was the holodeck the whole time, and one of their enemies was messing with them.
Yeah, I do love that future version coming back to visit. Yeah, show up to help the past versions make sure they don't exist. There's kind of a little bit of a melancholy sort of feel to that kind of adventure.
Yeah, or your future versions realize they screwed something up so badly the galaxy will end, so they have to come back and destroy themselves.
Interesting. Yeah, I was looking at we got some folks who were kind of talking about, varying degrees of, it would be difficult. And yeah, we did it and it wasn't quite fun or it was amazing. But yeah, I see that for sure. Let's see. I do want to say this, that if we were casting for a Q, D, you would be a perfect Q. We would happily invite you to the crew and to come and, shenanigans, which I, of course, fully support and endorse and enjoy. Okay, so now that's interesting. So when you're dealing with that omnipotent Q character, do you have some thoughts about how you'd engage? I mean, because we've got a character like that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's just your classic cosmic imp archetype. We've got the Deluxe GM's Guide has the archetype in there. It explains some ideas for how to play them, and then in Freedom City we've got Quirk, who is a cosmic imp, but with a very specific theme of he's a bored 10-year-old boy who, warps reality in ways that amuse a 10-year-old boy. So those are both good examples to draw from. And the great thing about omnipotent villains is you can just have them do whatever. So if you want your heroes to be Robin Hood for one session, then you can drop them in that and explain it away. You just have to make sure you know what the win condition is going in.
I like that. I got to tell you, this is one of the, Claude, not to take your wonderful idea and just throw it right out, just space it, just throw it out the airlock. But which is the thing we're doing today, because space is a very brutal, space. but that evil duplicate from the future sort of, no, they're the bad guy, no, they're the bad guy kind of thing. When I was a kid, that just always infuriated me, and I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not a Barry man. I like that. Good stuff.
That's the win condition. You have to become a merry man.
You've got to wear the tights and sing.
Well, I'm halfway there.
Yeah, a lot of the Q episodes come down to Q is amused by everybody being uncomfortable in this situation. The second you get used to this situation, it starts getting boring.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So it is. I'm looking at. So it's 2:36 right now. We have some other aspects of this to sort of flesh out. If we're looking at sort of general sort of space and all that. So we've got the ship. That's your environment, your world. You've got some. We've talked about some heroes. Is there some more to unpack there as far as like the kinds of heroes or prep for that? If we covered.
I mean, I would definitely say during character creation, like if you go in as the GM, have a clear archetype in mind for the ship based on what your players want to play, and then say, and you can contribute equipment points to give the ship other features. So maybe it just starts out as, it's a city-sized ship with engines, and that's it. And anything else you want extra, like the computer or a holodeck or a medical bay, things like that have to be bought, just like you're buying equipment aspects or headquarter aspects.
I love it. Also, Claude, I don't know what you're talking about, and shush. All right, great. So other considerations as we're kind of fleshing out the possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, go in, figure out a good power level for the kinds of stories you want to tell. If you want something that's more in line with, typical Star Trek, Star Wars adventures, then you probably want to do like a PL 5 or 6. If you want something that's more like Guardians of the Galaxy, you probably want to kick it up to PL 10. If you want something that's where the players are aliens with extraordinary abilities, but they're not necessarily world-shaking, then PL 8, maybe PL 7 is probably a good place. If you get up to like PL 12, those are heroes who just truck around the galaxy on their own. Those are, you're getting into your Silver Surfer or Superman or things like that, where you don't really need the ship. The ship is almost a liability at that point. So I probably wouldn't go too much above PL 10. And then, decide going in. I mean, like you said, Troy, do you let them have immunity going in? Do you make sure nobody takes immunity so that, space is always a risky proposition? Do you make up some basic team equipment where everybody gets a communicator and a phaser and a space suit just for free going out, just out the door?
Yeah,
And
I'd
then,
also probably talk about what role the heroes play on the ship. So if they have a department that they're in charge of, or if they're all part of the same Vanguard team, or honestly, I would like to see a group of heroes who are all the head of a different department all across the ship who have to come together to solve the ship's problems. So that would be something to talk about during session 0 too.
I dig that. There is again when we get these topics going and people are just eating it up. We got lots of great stuff. So I appreciate everybody's comments. Love that for sure. Dominic said, "So here's the question: how to go about making science mystery episodes fun for characters that aren't built for it?"
I mean, a lot of that is coming down to what abilities and skills they do have and how you can make them useful. Like, if you have a medical mystery where a weird alien parasite is killing one of your crew, I mean, that's something the science officer is going to be all over, and your doctor is going to be all over, and they can tackle the skill challenge part of the adventure. But you might also need like this rare alien plant from the planet the parasite comes from to try and figure out how to stop it, and that's something your security officer or your command officer can go down and recover. And that might just be a different kind of skill challenge where you use, expertise survival to find the right environment, or athletics to climb, or, it's other ways people can participate in the skill challenges.
Yeah, it's always making sure you design a moment that every character gets a little bit of spotlight time if they're paying attention.
Yeah, and a lot of science mystery things mostly come down to like good role playing and throwing in people's complications, and then having some investigation on the side, and then everything comes down to a skill challenge that is harder or easier depending on the choices you made and the investigations you did earlier in the episode.
I like that, and our conversation in general sort of supports what Dominic just said. Here's the trick: is that you have to work out the possible solutions through role play, not roll your dice play. I like that.
I think there's room for both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little bit, a pinch of this, a pinch of that, and really, what it's about is fun, right? I mean, none of this being let's travel through space in a very boring, like, let's sit around and roll dice to see who gets into the next reality with clarity, may not be the most joyous occasion, but finding that balance, I think, will get it done. The USS Stiletto. A lot of people really thinking a lot about what the ship would be, what the ship would look like someone was talking about. They would make it the Milano, which made me think of cookies and the fact that I've had 0 cookies today. And I was proud of myself until they brought up Milano. Now I have to feed my cookie monster addiction here.
Basically,
Milano's a cool ship.
What kind of ship is it? Is it flat and
the Guardians of the Galaxy ship? It's sort of shaped like a big bird.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
I
sound
see that now.
delicious at all.
It does not. It really doesn't. He asks, how about episodes based on MST3K?
Is that where you start running the adventure and your players make fun of you in the background?
That's right.
That's all my adventures.
That's so great. My Trek ship I captained for 3 years was the Kismet.
Nice.
Nice. I like that. And we know what our ship's name is.
We do.
Don't we? Isn't it Mew
I like the Thin Mint.
Claude says the Thin Mint, but I preferred your first answer, the Thing Mint, because Thin Mint's gross. Like a toothpaste cookie.
Thin Mint's captained by a grizzled Girl Scout who's just trying to get home. Got abducted by aliens 20 years ago, and she's ready.
I just want to get home.
All right, I've got my character concept.
That is so great. I'm trying to think of what this grizzled Girl Scout captain would be fighting against. Like another cookie-based villain.
She's trying to get home. She's like 20 light years from Earth. And she's recruited a band of misfit aliens who are, I'm going to say all refugees from a collapsing alien empire. And they're trying to outrun the empire that destroyed, this ancient alien empire.
This is big stuff. I like it. Would you theme them all after the cookies?
And that are badges.
What if the cookies came to life when they got abducted?
The transporter beam spliced their DNA into all the Girl Scout cookies.
Right. That is.
There's a whole Girl Scout troop, and only one of them showed up as a Girl Scout, and the other ones are human cookie hybrids.
Oh no!
Not good. Yeah. I'm too imaginative. for this combo.
Yeah.
John brings up a great idea, or a thought. Would you let the ship be a character? Like let one of the players
I mean,
be the ship?
that could be a lot of fun, but it
Hmm.
would. I mean, it might limit what encounters they can participate in, but then you could also go like Mass Effect's Evie,
Yeah.
or Edie rather, where she's got a robot drone body basically that she can send out of the ship to do things.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Gideon from Legends of Tomorrow, where eventually she got a human body. Spoiler alert.
I've only watched the first season.
Yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
it'd be cool. It would
right.
depend on the player for me. I would have to trust that player a lot.
Yeah, that would basically be. Oh. I mean, depending on what the drone can do, that would either be a remote sensing power or sort of a metamorph.
Hmm.
The chat is cracking me up. This is some really good stuff here. Let's see. Thin Mint is a stretch ice hero. Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay,
yeah,
but what
yeah.
about
So,
Saboa?
yeah, right. Exactly. My favorite. Arguably, I think. Yeah, my favorite. Outside of no, that's. Is there a toffee one?
I think there is a toffee one now.
There are toffee ones, but I couldn't tell you the name of it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either because I ate all my Girl Scout cookies like 2
I
minutes
think
after I got them.
if a player was really interested in being the ship, and the other players were okay with it because it's kind of some overlap in terms of like who has investment in this location. Because if it's just the Enterprise and there's 1,000 people on board and you're 5 or 6 of them, and you all get some say into who else is on board and what your relationship with the ship is, that's one thing. But if the ship is a person, then that player really has the final say in like who's going to be on board and who can do what, and is the player going to make it weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking of
I feel like one inside me joke is going to be more than the campaign really needs.
it's almost like Crystal cut me off before I could get it. And I'm kidding. I was gonna say, like for Mutants and Masterminds Monday, we do this program from inside me. I'm just a cloud of vapor, and yeah. No, that
One of the
that
party
gets
members is all of the toilets.
no, there are no toilets in space. I think we've proved that. John says, here's an idea: Project Freedom in Space. The ship is a prison starship, and the characters are captured villains, but can work their.
Ooh,
I like that twist.
that's a fun idea. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot.
Basically, the Galactic Federation is using convicts as their initial colony force.
So it's a lot less utopian than Star Trek, but I'm here for it.
Now, if you want to build a colony instead of just explore the universe, if you pick up or pre-order Beyond the Ring for the Expanse role-playing game, that has a complete colony building subsystem in it that you can lift and use in Mutants and Masterminds. All you're really going to need to do is change the target numbers so that they reflect the difficulties of the Mutants and Masterminds system instead of the age system.
I'm glad you brought that up because this next Friday at 5 p.m. we're kicking off our actual play with Ian. We've got our friends from Abraxas Precipice. That's how you say that now, and our friends from Fresh Out the Box, and they're going to be hanging around with Ian. And so the thing that I love about that kind of colony creation thing is that it has this brilliance to it. I wish I could. Felt familiar, like a familiar brilliance. I couldn't quite put my finger on
Probably
where.
Steve's.
Yeah, I think it was yours. Didn't you do that?
Well, yes, but it's built off the pre-existing system that we made for running families in the Lazarus campaign setting for Modern Age, which in turn is built off of the running organizations rules from the Dragon Age role-playing game.
I love that, and what an interesting sort of evolution of that. But you brought that its next iteration into the Expanse, Beyond the Ring. It's great. People really enjoy it quite a bit, and I love that you were going 3 titles deep to try to duck some kudos on that one, but I couldn't let you duck it. But yeah, no, really a lot of fun. And so would that be you said that porting over those rules, are there any sort of things you would pay particular attention to, or maybe shave off or augment?
I mean, a lot of the colony system is uh, more narrative based. So you can't fail a colony check and injure yourself, basically. So it's more about tracking how well your colony is doing and how well the other colonists are surviving. So really, I would think about like in what ways the hero's adventures and the choices they make might affect their next colony check. So,
Fun.
they go out and they beat up the star hornet and take the space jelly from their nest. Well, that's probably a big or a bonus to their next, population growth check. Or, maybe it's a weird resource they can use to give everybody in the colony psychic powers for a day so that you get a big bonus on a single defense check or something like that.
Thank you, Claude. Have a great day.
Alternatively, if you really screw up some kind of social interaction, that might give you a big penalty to, getting resources your colony needs.
If you fail to
question.
steal the space jelly and the hornets come and attack the colony during the next colony check.
Right. Yeah. Well, what would space jelly taste like?
I'm going to go salmonberry.
I like it.
Ennui.
I like it. Did you say ennui?
Ennui, that's what it tastes like.
I don't know.
The Double Clicks have a great song about that.
About the taste of ennui?
Ennui, ennui, ennui go.
I love it. It tastes like red, Jonesy says. I love it. This is such a great, I want to remind everybody that make sure if you're watching this on demand, you got to check the chat out. It's full of great ideas that you can, sort of evolve for your own, and also some very, very funny stuff, and also some stuff that I will address later offline. No, I'm kidding. You put it in your sandwich and your space nut butter. Your space nut butter. That's space nut butter. I don't know why that just has a bad mouthfeel. I see. This is space jelly is not for eating. It's a healing compound. Okay. All right. I guess.
It's not for eating. Why does it taste so good?
Don't tell me what to eat.
Why did they make it so delicious? I love this. So Mutants and Masterminds Monday comes to you very nearly every single Monday. I think we've done 99% of all Mondays for the last 7 years now. We've done this for 7 years.
I don't think that's true, Troy.
It feels like 7, but a good 7.
We passed our 100th episode a while ago. I could not tell you when.
We sure did, and I couldn't either. And though it is my job to count, it's just one of those things that escapes me. But that's what I'll do. I promise that before our next episode, I will tally it up because are we doing seasons?
Not really.
Not really, right? Yeah, I mean we've got the first season, and then you bring in the young plucky kid, and then the numbers go up, and then we start to. Yeah, we haven't jumped the shark yet, I don't think.
No. We could do an episode on sharks next week.
I think we could. Well, we did. We have done sharks with lasers, I think.
Shark Week. We should do a Shark Week episode.
I think we should. That being said, we've got some really phenomenal ideas in the can. We just popped out some good ones this morning as we were sort of, investigating some ideas. We are going to connect. I know that there are people who just truly love the art and artists that we work with, and so we're working with some artists to see if they'll join us. They will remain nameless for now until we get them on the docket. They are. The artists are the coolest kids in the room, and they have so much fun, but they are quite busy, and so looking forward to that. If you've got an idea for a program you want to add, a thought, or you'd like your hosts to kind of dig in and use their sizable creative intelligences to, solve a tricky problem. Maybe you need someone to arbitrate. Maybe you need, some advice about a rash or something. Send a note to Let's Play at Green Ronin. You know what? We are also good for, providing thoughts on
we are
love.
not a medical podcast. Please do not use any of our suggestions as medical advice.
Also,
No,
not
no,
legal
no.
advice. Hashtag not legal advice.
That's right. Yes, none of that.
But
we
Dominic,
do
if
like
you want to
share.
do a musical episode for a Patreon developer actual play, I'll do that for my next one.
That is that reminds me what this is so funny. When have you not had a Shark Week session? Okay, please correct that. When have you not had a Shark Week session? I agree. It's always a Shark Week. Let's see. What do you think about this rash, Troy? Yes, no. Do send any of those to no, I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna pull a trick.
Itchy. Is it itchy? You look like you're itchy.
Is it hot?
Exactly. But we are here to listen, to talk, to exchange creative ideas, not necessarily pictures of your rashes. But or you've got some thoughts about you need advice on love. We can help you with that as well, because we are experts. You want to know why? Because we love you all so much, and there's so many of you. How could we not be experts? Speaking of, it's a little itchy. Speaking of love, you two, what a great show. What a great conversation that we've had. Is there anything that either of you would like to share about stuff coming up? Like, Alex, do you have an actual play tonight?
I do. Also, I think this week is my year anniversary of being a Ronin. I think.
Oh, wow. Well,
Hey, really?
Congratulations.
It's been a year. Yeah. I don't know if it's this week or next week, but it's real close.
Oh.
I've made you a cake. You should come over and have some.
All right, on my way.
There's the first
My
kidney.
live stream starts in 30 minutes. Is that cool?
Yeah, no, we can squeeze it in.
Love it. Anything else you want to share?
I do have Starhaven tonight at 7 p.m. at twitch.tv/Untold Stories Project. We're going to be going into the mirror zone on Starhaven.
Ooh.
Just something that you don't know about because you don't have the book yet.
Oh, yeah, the mirror zone.
I
Nice.
love that. Jahan says, Alex, your Saturday game was so good. I have to agree.
I'm very glad you enjoyed it. I had so much fun with my players, and we didn't destroy the planet, so that's cool. Earth Prime gets another day.
Next time, I guess.
The first prime is destroyed in any of these adventures. It is canonically done.
That's right. Game over. Crystal, do you have anything you'd like to share? Anything you want to draw attention to today?
Just that I know it's a little late, but we've got a random complication chart that we talked about here on the Mutants and Masterminds Monday 2 weeks ago. And I took off running and made a 5-page chart for random complications that you can roll on to, generate random heroes, random villains, just go crazy.
It's amazing. Now, where would you like me to distribute it? Because it's really incredible. Very well laid out. All right, on Patreon it is, and you can find the Patreon at patreon.com/mutantsand masterminds, and we'll put that out. Actually, just as soon as we're done with this stream, I will
stuff
throw it over
you
there.
all get interested in. We put that on the Patreon. You inspire us.
That's absolutely right. And thank you, Jonesy. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. A lot of fun. I do enjoy this genre, but more than that, I just love hanging out with you folks and really kind of digging into all the fun, silly, and oftentimes absurd opportunities to engage and have a good time on a Monday. What a great way to spend Monday. Thanks again. Hey, you two have a wonderful rest of your week. Chat, you as well. And if you're listening or watching this on demand, make sure to check out that chat. And also, everybody stop what you're doing. Take a look at what you're watching. Is there a thumb? Is it pointing up? Click
Like-
it.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
That's right. Tickle that bell, as they say. Do they say that? I don't know that they do. I'm going to go get some cookies. Thank you, Jahan. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.